Hello and welcome to Chapter 8, Section 2. We're going to do problem number 33. In this, we are told that a population of animals oscillates between a low of 1,300 on January 1st. January 1st is t equals 0, and a high of 2,200 on July 1st. And July 1st is t equals 6. We are first asked to find a formula for the population P in terms of time, T in months. So we want to find P of T. So first of all, we need to find our A, we need to find our B, H, and K values, right? Let me bolden these. There we go. So we know that to find our vertical stretch, which is equal to our amplitude, if you remember earlier, I'd written something down like max, the absolute value of the max, or the absolute value of the minimum. And it was minus midline. Actually, you can't see what I'm writing, so I'm going to actually write this differently, and it's a little easier for how we're doing this anyway. Because you can hardly see what I'm doing. It's running off the page. Let me bolden this. Max. So the absolute value of the maximum minus the absolute value of the minimum. Actually, no, that's actually wrong in this case. I'm sorry, guys. I am being confusing as hell. So our maximum minus our minimum divided by 2. This will give us our amplitude. So 2,200 minus 1,300 divided by 2 is equal to what? I think this is 900 divided by 2 equal 4. Screw it. That's getting erased because it's a waste of space anyway. 900 divided by 2 is 450. Agreed? So A equals 450. So we have something to put into this. Okay. Our B. B, we're given that T of 0 and T of 6. We know that so I'm going to draw a really bad sketch. So at 1300, this is T equals 0, right? So 0, 1300. We know that it's at its minimum point, and it climbs and reaches its maximum here, okay? So let's say that this is its maximum, and it's at 6. Well, this is not a full cycle. This is half a cycle. So we need to bring this back down to here, where it's back at the minimum, and it's going to just keep doing this. It'll keep oscillating like this. And so if it took 6 in order for it to get to the max, it's going to take another 6 for it to come back down. So this is 12. So our period is 12 months. And so let's remember that the period equals 2 pi divided by the absolute value of B. And so we're going to do this quick because we're getting used to this idea. So multiply B by both sides, divide T by both sides, you get 2 pi divided by 12, you get pi over 6. I wrote 16. That's wrong. So pi over 6. So our B value is equal to pi over 6. our h value, well, if we use, this is important because if we use sine, we're going to have to shift our graph. Notice that this is an inverse, not an inverse, this is a cosine function that has been reflected across the x-axis. So we don't need this h. H is equal to 0. We're going to ignore h. And then k. How much is it going to take for us to get to our midline? So let's see. So we have a minimum of 1300, and so we know that the midline is going to be 450 units above that. So if you add 450 to that, you get 1,750. So we have enough information to write down an equation. And note that this is reflected, so first things first, this is negative. And so cosine of pi over 6 t plus 1,750. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. And the answer sheet agrees with me. So then, C, well, we won't have to skip to C. I'm just skipping there because the answer sheet doesn't have anything for C. B wants us to interpret the altitude, period, and midline for the function. You should be able to do that. In amplitude is 450. The period is going to be pi over 6. The midline will be found at 1750 equals y. So that's all information we can just get from looking at everything we just put into here, because that's the information we needed to put into here anyway. So moving on to C. C wants us to use a graph to estimate when P will equal 1,500. Well, to do that, we just need to, if you have a graphing calculator, which, I imagine most everybody will, first of all, you need to make sure that you are in degree mode. To do that, go to mode, or no, you want to be in radians. So click mode, and go down, enter in the radians. To get out, press clear, and plug this into your calculator, into the y equals 1 slot. So we get that cosine. I do this in the camera, but it's hard for me to do that actually. Pi x divided by 6. Make sure your parentheses are all good. Graph it, zoom. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to come out. You can't see the graph.